The rain hammered against the reinforced windows of the Vancouver Quantum Monitoring Station, a nondescript building that looked more like an abandoned tech startup than humanity's most critical early warning system. Jack Martinez huddled closer to his console, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to pulse with an almost living energy. It was 3:47 a.m. when everything changed. The quantum receiver, a device so advanced it could parse multiple dimensional communication frequencies simultaneously, began to chirp. Most would have dismissed it as electronic noise, but Jack Martinez was not most people. A child of immigrant parents who had instilled in him an almost obsessive attention to detail, he knew something was different. The transmission was encrypted, but not in any way human systems had ever encountered before. Quantum encryption so complex it made current military-grade protection look like children's crayon scribbles. Most analysts would have called for a team, filed reports, followed protocols. Jack did something entirely different. He began to crack it. Hours passed. Coffee grew cold. External monitors showed the rain turning to a mild storm, but Jack remained motionless. His neural link interface allowed him to process information at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. Each layer of encryption was a puzzle, and Jack was solving it with a combination of cutting-edge technology and raw human intuition. When the first fragments of the transmission became clear, the blood drained from his face. Star charts, biological classification systems, a cataloging protocol that made biological surveys look like gentle anthropological studies. The Zenthari weren't just planning to observe emerging civilizations. They were preparing a systematic method of assessment that would end in either complete subjugation or total extinction. The word catalog appeared repeatedly, but Jack understood its true meaning. In alien diplomatic language, cataloging was a euphemism for determining whether a species was worthy of continued existence. His fingers flew across the interface. He needed to do something impossible: verify the transmission's authenticity while simultaneously preventing any trace of his intrusion. The quantum encryption was designed to self-destruct at the slightest hint of unauthorized access. It took another hour of precision work, but Jack managed to not just capture the transmission, but to create a perfect, undetectable copy. At 7:15 a.m., he made a call that would change human history forever. "Director Chen," he said, his voice remarkably calm, "we have a situation." Within 3 hours, a secret global council convened, not through traditional diplomatic channels, but through a quantum-secured network that didn't officially exist. Representatives from every major global power, not just government officials, but leading scientists, military strategists, and technological innovators, gathered in a virtual space that could not be intercepted or traced. Jack Martinez, a 29-year-old communications specialist who 2 days ago was just another analyst, found himself at the center of humanity's most critical strategic meeting in history. The transmission was real. The threat was imminent, and humanity had been given a rare gift, a whisper of warning before the storm. "Project Chimera begins now," announced Director Elena Chen, her voice cutting through the tension. "We prepare, we adapt, and we ensure that when the Zenthari arrive, they will understand one fundamental truth about humanity." She paused, looking at each representative. "We are not a species to be cataloged. We are a species that catalogs our own destiny." The Zenthari reconnaissance drone approached the solar system with the cold precision of a predator sizing up its prey. Its quantum sensors were the most advanced in the known galaxy, capable of penetrating planetary atmospheres, mapping technological infrastructures, and determining a civilization's threat potential in milliseconds. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the hidden command center beneath the Chilean Atacama Desert, her fingers hovering over a holographic interface that looked deceptively simple. Around her, a team of the world's most brilliant minds worked in perfect, almost telepathic synchronization. "Incoming quantum scan," whispered Marcus Chen, the lead quantum systems engineer. Penetration depth at 97% predicted capability. The drone was a marvel of alien engineering, Sleek, obsidian black, it moved through space with a fluidity that defied conventional physics. Every movement was calculated, every scan precise. It had been the instrument of destruction for countless emerging civilizations, a silent harbinger of extinction that left no survivors to tell its tale. What the Zenthari didn't know was that this drone was about to encounter something entirely unprecedented. The holographic display showed a meticulously constructed facade, a human colony that looked painfully vulnerable. Outdated communication arrays, minimal defensive capabilities, rudimentary energy signatures that screamed primitive to any advanced scanning technology. It was a masterpiece of strategic misdirection. Quantum mimetic generators at 100%, Marcus reported. Every technological signature, every energy reading was a carefully crafted illusion. The colony was a perfect trap, designed to be both fascinating and utterly non-threatening. Alina's eyes never left the display. Years of preparation had led to this moment, a single interaction that would define humanity's first impression on the galactic stage. The drone began its systematic scan. Its sensors probed deep into the fabricated colony, mapping infrastructure, population distribution, technological capabilities. Each scan revealed exactly what humanity wanted the Zenthari to see: a young, fragmented species barely capable of interplanetary communication, let alone space warfare. What the drone couldn't detect were the quantum-dampened facilities hundreds of meters below the surface. Entire research complexes, military installations, and technological development centers existed in a state of quantum concealment. Advanced sensors mapped every nuance of the alien scanning technology, creating a comprehensive understanding of Zenthari reconnaissance methods. Data acquisition at 89%, Marcus muttered. They're taking the bait perfectly. The colony was more than just a holographic projection. Physical structures had been constructed with deliberate imperfections, outdated solar panels that looked inefficient, communication towers with deliberately antiquated designs. Every detail was a brushstroke in a larger painting of technological inferiority. As the drone completed its scan, Alina allowed herself the slightest smile. They had just collected more intelligence about Zenthari scanning technologies than any civilization had in centuries. More importantly, they had planted the first seed of a narrative: humanity as a non-threatening, easily manageable species. Scan complete, the system announced. Marcus looked up, a glint of triumph in his eyes. They won't know what's coming. The Zenthari would review the data, confident in their superior technology, completely unaware that they had just been comprehensively studied by the very species they believed to be primitive. Every quantum fluctuation, every scanning method had been meticulously recorded, analyzed, and prepared for. The first move was humanity's, and the galaxy didn't even realize the game had started. The Global Economic Warfare Command Center looked nothing like a traditional military installation. Located in a nondescript skyscraper in Singapore, it was a cathedral of data, where the world's most brilliant economic strategists waged a silent war that would reshape galactic power dynamics. Arya Khan stood at the center of this digital battlefield, her dark eyes reflecting multiple holographic displays that pulsed with real-time economic data. She was not a traditional economist. She was a strategic architect who saw global markets as a living, breathing organism that could be manipulated with surgical precision. "Target acquisition complete," she murmured, her fingers dancing across a quantum-encrypted interface. The Zenthari believed they understood economic systems. They were about to learn the true meaning of human economic warfare. The plan was elegantly complex. Humanity would not attack the alien economic network directly. Instead, they would introduce subtle, almost imperceptible vulnerabilities that would spread like a digital virus through the galactic economic ecosystem. Each trade agreement was a carefully constructed weapon. Every technological exchange, a precision-guided economic missile. The first phase involved creating seemingly mundane financial instruments that would appear attractive to alien traders. cryptocurrency derivatives, quantum encrypted investment vehicles, and predictive market algorithms that looked innovative but contained hidden systemic weaknesses. Dr. Rafael Martinez, a game theory expert sitting to Aria's left, highlighted a particularly ingenious construct. "Watch this," he said, zooming into a complex financial model. "We've built an investment vehicle that appears absolutely irresistible to Zen theory market analysts." The beauty of the strategy was its subtlety. Each economic tool was designed with multiple layers of complexity. On the surface, they were legitimate financial innovations. Beneath, they were precision instruments of economic destabilization. Quantum computing played a crucial role. Predictive algorithms could model potential economic responses with terrifying accuracy. The team could anticipate how Zen theory economic systems would react to each introduced element, creating a multi-dimensional chess game played out in financial markets. "Penetration depth at 67%, announced a young analyst. The Zen theory economic networks were slowly being mapped, understood, and subtly compromised. Aria understood something fundamental about economic warfare that most missed. It was not about destruction, but about control. Each introduced element was a thread in a larger tapestry, slowly but surely reshaping the entire economic landscape. Global corporations became unwitting participants in this grand strategy. Carefully selected companies were guided, not controlled, but nudged, toward economic interactions that would slowly erode the Zen theory's economic stability. A breakthrough came when they discovered a fundamental weakness in Zen theory economic modeling. Their predictive algorithms assumed a level of cultural homogeneity that was antithetical to human economic behavior. Where Zen theory saw chaos, humans saw opportunity. "We're not just attacking their economy," Aria explained to her team. "We're teaching them an entirely new way of understanding economic interaction." By the end of the first phase, the Zen theory would believe they were making standard economic exchanges. In reality, they were being systematically studied, their economic vulnerabilities meticulously mapped and prepared for potential future confrontation. As the day ended, Aria Khan allowed herself a rare smile. The first move had been made. The economic Trojan horse was now inside the galaxy's most sophisticated economic system. And the Zen theory didn't even know the war had begun. The research facility looked deliberately unremarkable, a squat, concrete building nestled in the remote mountains of New Zealand. To any external observer, it appeared to be nothing more than a mid-tier scientific research center with limited funding and modest ambitions. Dr. Marcus Chen knew better. Inside the facility, reality bent around the edges of human potential. Quantum laboratories that could reshape fundamental understanding of physics existed alongside seemingly mundane research stations. Every piece of technology was a carefully constructed narrative of controlled limitation. "Controlled release protocol initiated," announced Dr. Samira Rodriguez, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface that looked deceptively simple. The team around her represented the pinnacle of human scientific achievement. Experts who understood that true power lay not in spectacular displays, but in calculated restraint. Their mission was intricate: release technological advances so precisely measured that they would appear evolutionary, not revolutionary. Each breakthrough was a breadcrumb, a carefully placed hint that suggested human potential without revealing its true depth. A quantum adaptive material lay on the central research platform, a substance that could change its molecular structure in milliseconds, adapting to environmental challenges with a flexibility that defied current scientific understanding. But to the outside world, it would be presented as a marginal improvement in material science. "Zen theory research teams will be monitoring," Marcus reminded the team. "We show them exactly what we want them to see." The material would be packaged with deliberate imperfections. Minor stability issues, seemingly random molecular inconsistencies that would make alien researchers dismiss it as an interesting but ultimately limited breakthrough. What they couldn't see was the underlying technology that could potentially revolutionize everything from space travel to medical treatment. Dr. Elena Chen, no relation to Marcus, walked in, carrying a data crystal that contained what might be the most significant technological breakthrough of the century. To any external scan, it would appear to be a standard research repository with minimal interesting content. "We're not just developing technology," Marcus explained to a group of younger researchers. "We're writing a story. A story that makes us look just advanced enough to be interesting, but not so advanced that we become a threat." Each research team worked in carefully compartmentalized sections. No single group understood the full scope of human technological potential. This wasn't just a security measure. It was a strategic decision to ensure that even if information was compromised, the full extent of human capability remained hidden. Quantum computing algorithms processed potential technological trajectories. They could predict with terrifying accuracy how alien research teams would interpret and respond to each released technological hint. It wasn't about hiding capabilities. It was about controlling perception. A young researcher named Kai Wong brought forward a neural interface prototype. To alien researchers, it would look like a marginal improvement in brain-computer interaction. In reality, it represented a fundamental leap in understanding consciousness and computational integration. "Remember," Marcus said, looking at the team, "our goal is not to impress. Our goal is to be consistently, boringly impressive." As the day concluded, multiple research papers were prepared, each meticulously crafted to present groundbreaking work as incremental progress. Scientific journals across the globe would publish these papers, creating a narrative of steady, predictable human technological development. The Xanthuri would continue to watch, believing they understood human technological potential. They had no idea how completely they were being manipulated. Technological sandbagging was an art form, and humanity was its unrivaled master. The colony of New Horizon looked like every other marginal human settlement on the edge of explored space, a collection of prefabricated structures nestled against the harsh landscape of a distant exoplanet. To the Xanthuri invasion force, it appeared to be nothing more than a vulnerable outpost, ripe for their pacification protocol. Colony Commander Sarah Okura watched the approaching alien fleet through a series of quantum-encrypted monitoring systems. Her command center was a marvel of technological integration, seemingly simple, but possessing layers of complexity that would make the most advanced alien systems look primitive. "Incoming assault wave," announced Lieutenant Kai Rodriguez, his voice calm despite the approaching threat. Xanthuri strike force composition. 3 primary battle groups, supported by quantum phase artillery platforms. What the Xanthuri didn't understand was that New Horizon was never just a colony. It was a carefully constructed trap, a living weapon designed to turn planetary defense into an art of strategic brilliance. The first wave of Xanthuri ships entered the planetary atmosphere, their weapon systems charging. Quantum scanners began mapping defensive capabilities, searching for vulnerabilities. They found exactly what humanity wanted them to find: seemingly weak point defenses, minimal shield coverage, communication systems that appeared antiquated. Adaptive defense grid powering to 12% visible capacity, Kai reported. To any external scanner, the colony's defenses looked pathetically inadequate. The first plasma bombardment screamed towards the colony's primary settlement. Xanthuri commanders watched with the cold calculation of species that had pacified countless civilizations. They expected immediate destruction, a quick and decisive victory that would be logged as just another routine planetary subjugation. They were wrong. As the first energy weapons approached, something extraordinary happened. The planetary surface itself seemed to come alive. Quantum adaptive camouflage systems transformed terrain into a living, breathing defensive network. What appeared to be simple rock formations became precision energy reflectors. Seemingly innocuous geological features revealed themselves as perfectly camouflaged weapon platforms. "Defensive matrix at 40% calculated engagement," Sarah announced, her fingers dancing across an interface that looked more like an artistic installation than a military command system. The Xanthuri first wave lost 60% of its strike capacity before fully entering the planetary engagement zone. Their quantum scanners, so advanced they had conquered countless civilizations, were suddenly confronted with a defensive system that seemed to predict and counter every single attack milliseconds before it could be executed. Adaptive Response Protocol activated, Lieutenant Rodriguez said, a hint of excitement in his voice. The colony wasn't defending itself. It was actively hunting the invasion force. Weapon systems that looked like geological formations transformed. Communication arrays that appeared primitive became quantum-entangled targeting systems. The entire planetary surface was becoming a single integrated weapon system that understood and anticipated alien attack protocols at a fundamental level. Xanthari commanders watched in growing horror as their perfectly calculated invasion began to unravel. Their tactical AI systems, which had methodically conquered countless civilizations, were being systematically outmaneuvered by a defense grid that seemed to exist beyond traditional computational logic. Total invasion force casualties at 82%, Kai reported, his voice clinical and precise. Sarah Okoro allowed herself the slightest smile. This wasn't just a defense. This was a message. A clear, unmistakable communication to the galactic community about humanity's true capabilities. The first blood had been drawn, and the Xanthari were about to learn that humanity was nothing like any species they had ever encountered. The solar system had always been more than it appeared. Hidden shipyards, vast, intricate networks of construction facilities, had been carefully concealed in the shadows of asteroids, within the dense radiation belts of gas giants, and in quantum-dampened pockets of space that defied conventional detection. What the Xanthari believed to be humanity's total naval capacity was about to become a tragic miscalculation. Admiral Jack Martinez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, humanity's most advanced command vessel. The ship itself was a technological marvel that looked almost organic, its hull capable of quantum reconfiguration, its systems so advanced they bordered on being sentient. "Invasion fleet detected," announced Commander Elena Rodriguez, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface that seemed to breathe with technological life. Xanthari composition: 17,342 combat vessels, supported by quantum phase artillery platforms. A soft smile crossed Martinez's lips. The Xanthari had no idea what was coming. The first phase of the response was subtle. Quantum-encrypted communication networks began to pulse, a silent signal that would activate humanity's true military infrastructure. Across the solar system, carefully concealed defense platforms began to stir. Asteroid mining facilities that had appeared to be simple resource extraction points transformed. Their massive industrial complexes revealed themselves as shipyard construction zones. Entire sections of seemingly mundane space infrastructure began to reconfigure, revealing layers of military capability that had been hidden in plain sight. Shipyard activation at 43%, Rodriguez reported. Vessels coming online. The first wave of human ships began to emerge, each one a testament to technological innovation that defied current galactic understanding. They were not just weapons of war, but living systems that could adapt, learn, and respond with a complexity that made Xanthari Vessel I look like primitive computing machines. Some ships appeared almost biological in nature, their hulls capable of self-repair and quantum-adaptive camouflage. Others were pure technological marvels, geometric configurations that could shift their fundamental structural integrity in milliseconds, rendering traditional weapon systems completely ineffective. Total vessel count now exceeding 9,000, Martins announced. And this is still less than 20% of our total capacity. The communication was deliberately designed to send a message. Each ship was not just a weapon, but a statement. A declaration that humanity was not just another species to be cataloged or conquered. Quantum communication networks began to pulse with a complex mathematical language, a communication protocol so advanced that it would take alien analysts decades to even begin comprehending its complexity. It was more than a military response. It was a comprehensive demonstration of technological superiority. Weapon systems online, Rodriguez said, her voice calm. Defensive matrices preparing. The Xanthari invasion fleet suddenly found itself confronted with a technological nightmare. ships that could predict and counter attack vectors before they were even conceived, defensive systems that seemed to exist beyond traditional dimensional understanding, weapon platforms that could reconfigure themselves at the quantum level. Martinez looked out at the emerging armada, thousands of vessels, each one a testament to human innovation, human determination, human survival. "Let them understand," he said quietly, "that what they're seeing is not even close to our full capacity." The solar system transformed from a seemingly vulnerable collection of planetary bodies into a living, breathing defensive network. And the Xanthari invasion force was about to learn a lesson they would never forget. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were not here to be passive participants. The Xanthari High Council chamber fell silent as the first transmissions began to arrive. What they expected to be simple data streams became something far more terrifying, a comprehensive psychological assault that would redefine their understanding of humanity. Dr. Arya Khan stood at the center of Earth's Sanological Communication Center, her hands hovering over a quantum-encrypted interface that pulsed with potential. The weapon they were about to deploy was not made of metal or energy, but of information, the most dangerous weapon in the human arsenal. "Initiate cultural download," she commanded. The transmission began as a seemingly random collection of human historical and cultural data. But to those who could truly understand, it was a meticulously crafted psychological weapon. Xanthari analysts first encountered Earth's historical records, not just a dry compilation of dates and events, but a living, breathing narrative of survival against impossible odds. They watched as humans documented centuries of conflict, scientific breakthrough, artistic achievement, and unprecedented adaptability. Images of human resilience flooded alien communication networks, the recovery from world wars, the moon landing, technological revolutions, artistic masterpieces created in the midst of extreme hardship. Each piece of information was a carefully selected thread in a larger tapestry designed to communicate a singular message. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The cultural download went beyond simple historical documentation. It was a comprehensive psychological profile that would make the most advanced alien intelligence systems recalculate everything they thought they knew about human potential. Quantum-encoded narratives revealed the complexity of human social structures. Unlike the rigid, hierarchical Xanthari society, human civilization demonstrated an almost chaotic ability to adapt, innovate, and overcome. Political systems, artistic expressions, scientific theories, each was a testament to a species defined by its ability to constantly reinvent itself. Penetration depth at 87%, reported Marcus Chen, the lead communication strategist. They're absorbing everything. The most devastating element was the unpredictability. Xanthari intelligence systems were designed to analyze and categorize. Human culture defied categorization. For every pattern the alien analysts discovered, there were a dozen exceptions that completely shattered their understanding. Military historical records became a particular point of fascination. The Xanthari saw not just battles, but the philosophical and cultural contexts that drove human conflict. They discovered a species that could transform from bitter enemies to collaborative partners, a flexibility that was completely alien to their own rigid social structures. Scientific and artistic achievements were presented not as individual accomplishments, but as collective human endeavors. Each breakthrough told a story of collaboration, of pushing beyond perceived limitations. The development of vaccines, space exploration, musical compositions, mathematical theorems, each was a window into a species defined by its collective potential. "They're trying to understand us," Arya muttered, "and we're making sure they never will." The transmission was designed to be both an invitation and a warning, a complex psychological profile that would take the Xanthari decades to fully process. Each piece of information was a puzzle, a challenge, a provocation. As the final data streams completed their transmission, the Xanthari High Council found themselves confronting a fundamental psychological challenge. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered or catalogued. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, innovative, and absolutely terrifying in their potential. The psychological warfare was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of first contact. The Galactic Communication Network trembled as humanity prepared to deliver its final statement. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus *, the most advanced vessel humanity had ever constructed. Around her, a diverse crew represented the true strength of human civilization. Individuals from every corner of the globe, united by a singular purpose. Quantum communication channels stabilized, reported Lieutenant Kai Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across interfaces that seemed to breathe with technological life. All galactic communication networks are locked and ready. The Zentheri High Council, still reeling from the previous psychological and military revelations, waited with a mixture of terror and anticipation. What they had believed about humanity had been systematically dismantled over the past weeks, each revelation more shocking than the last. The transmission began not with aggression, but with something far more powerful, a comprehensive demonstration of humanity's true nature. To the galactic community, the message began: we are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. We are here to establish a new paradigm of interspecies interaction. Holographic displays across the galaxy showed images that defied traditional understanding of military communication, scenes of human scientific achievement, artistic expression, and collaborative problem-solving replace what would have been traditional war declarations. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, leading the communication strategy, had crafted a message that was both a warning and an invitation. Each word was carefully chosen, each image meticulously selected to communicate a complex truth about human potential. We have demonstrated our capacity for defense, the transmission continued. We have shown our technological capabilities. But what defines us is not our ability to destroy, but our ability to create, to adapt, to understand. The Zentheri High Council watched in stunned silence. The transmission was unlike anything in galactic communication history. It was not a threat. It was not a declaration of war. It was a comprehensive statement of human existence. Scenes played out showing human scientific collaboration, medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration projects, images of diverse human cultures working together, solving complex global challenges, mathematical proofs that demonstrated human intellectual capability, artistic expressions that challenged the very understanding of creativity. We are offering a choice, the message continued. Respect is not demanded. It is earned. We are prepared to demonstrate our full capacity, not as a threat, but as a statement of potential. The final segment of the transmission was its most devastating. A comprehensive overview of human military, technological, and cultural capabilities, but with a critical difference. Each capability was presented not as a weapon, but as a potential for collaborative advancement. Quantum-encrypted data streams revealed that what the Zentheri had seen was less than 20% of humanity's true potential. Military installations that could be rapidly converted to scientific research centers, weapon systems that could be transformed into planetary restoration technologies. We are not conquerors. The final message resonated across the galaxy. We are potential incarnate. The transmission ended, but its impact would be felt for generations. The Zentheri High Council found themselves confronting a fundamental truth they had never encountered in centuries of galactic dominance. Humanity was not a species to be categorized, controlled, or conquered. Humanity was a force of nature. And the galaxy would never be the same.